Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss about Azure Load Balancer. This topic is part of AG104, AG303 and AG700 certification. If you want to go through the complete course, you can purchase these courses from my website, that is techlearning.spy.com. All the information is given in the description. If you want to check out the course content, just click on course and click on preview. So left hand side, you can see all of the course contents. Other than individual courses, course packages are also available where you can find out the decent discount on these courses. Let's get back to our topic.
In today's class, we are going to discuss about a new topic that is about the load balancer. Okay, so what is load balancer and how it works and how to configure it. So each and everything we are going to discuss in detail. So before that, let's understand what is the load balancer and why it is actually utilized. So generally what happens, let's say you have a web server inside your company. Okay, when you deployed it, you did not have any idea like how many users are going to connect on this web server. On this web server, suppose this is your WS01, and on this web server, there is a website called abc.com is hosted. Fine. So when you deployed it, you did not have any idea like how many users are going to hit on this server. So initially it worked perfectly fine. Users were coming from outside. They were typing abc.com on their browser and the session was hitting on this particular server. Okay, and things were working, but this server also has some capacity, right? So it has certain hardware configuration. So what happened after a extent, number of session also started increasing. Fine, but this hardware was not prepared for that. Let's say I'm taking one case scenario here. So what will happen in this case, after an extent, this server will start facing the problem of the overloading. Okay, so in this case what may happen, the users those were trying to connect to this web server or basically on this website, they may start facing the latency because whenever one session connect, this session also has to be processed by this server. When processing happen, what happens, the cpu get utilized. If more number of sessions are coming and getting connected on this server, more cpu utilization or other hardware utilization is happening, right? So after an extent, when number of users are rapidly increasing, the user start may facing the latency. And the second thing is that there might be a point where the website is not accessible at all and this whole server is crashed here, right? So as an administrator, let's say you identified this problem and you said, okay, there is only one server and the number of user sessions those are connecting on this web server are high. So that is the reason this problem is happening. The problem statement is clear. Now you're trying to fix this issue. So you thought, okay, instead of one server, what I can do, I can put two more additional servers so that the load can be divided, and all these three servers are the identical servers. So this is your ws02, let's say this is ws03. Okay, and this is an identical server, so here abc.com is hosted. But is it going to solve the problem? No. Why? Because although you have deployed three server, but you did not define any mechanism to distribute this traffic among all of these servers here. Still, all of the sessions are coming and connecting to abc.com, right? So we should have something who is going to divide this traffic on each and every server so it can avoid overloading of an individual server here. So what we can do now in this scenario, load balancers come into the picture. Let's say remove this one. So what we will do, we will create one load balancer here. And we are going to attach these target. with the load balancer. So generally, what we call them, the technical term for the server now, this is called as a target here. So we will attach this target to the load balancer, and this load balancer will face toward the internet. Let's say this is the internet. Your load balancer will attach to the internet. Then finally, let's say this is a user is also connected to the internet, and if they are typing abc.com from this client machine via internet, it is going to hit your load balancer. Now load balancer is going to distribute it among backend targets. So maybe the first session will go to ws01, second will go to ws02. These user sessions, let's say this is user, it is not going to hit this server directly now. Okay, this is not hitting the server. Instead of that, how we are going to configure it? So all of the user session should come and hit to the load balancer. Now load balancer is going to decide where exactly this session should be redirected in the backend. So this is the simple definition or simple concept of the load balancer. Okay. Now we are going to deploy the load balancer. So let me open one new diagram. This is a load balancer. Behind the load balancer, I'm going to place two virtual machine. The virtual machine name will be VM1 and the VM2. This is VM1, this is your VM2. Okay, so let's start from the scratch how to deploy the concept of the load balancer. And as soon as we process with our configuration, we'll come back and update this diagram. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create two virtual machine, VM1 and the VM2, and on both of the virtual machine I'm going to deploy a website. So one website here, one website here. So both will be the identical website. Okay. Then I will create the load balancer and we'll see that how to configure it further. So, but before creating a virtual machine, what we supposed to do here, we have to create a availability set here. So this is like one of the prerequisite when you are going to create a load balancer here. Okay. So this is my availability set. Let's say this is the name of this availability set is AS1. Fine. Then I will place these VM1 and VM2 inside this availability set. So come to your portal and already one resource group here is here, my RG. So let me go to virtual machine, and before the virtual machine, what I said, we are supposed to create a availability set. So click on availability set, create availability set, and resource group is myRG. Availability set name is AS-1. Region is Central US. Fault domain I have taken 3, and the update domain also I have taken 3 here. Just create it. Okay, AS-1 availability set has been created. Now I'm going to create my VM1. Okay, then I will attach this VM1 with my availability set 1 here. So come here and type virtual machines. So come to availability option, click on it and select the availability set. Availability set name is AS1, and the image I'm going to take 2016. And the inbound port rule, I'm going to allow RDP 3389, but along that, I'm going to enable HTTP also 80, because I'm going to deploy a website inside this virtual machine and that should be accessible. So I'm enabling this port 80 as well, correct? So let me cross check VM1 region Central US availability set has been given. Okay, fine. So both of the ports are enabled. Now come back to your networking. And before that, when you come to this networking part, all of these VM1 and VM2 should be part of the same network. Okay, so you cannot do like that. There are multiple virtual network. Suppose this is your VNet 1 and this is your VNet 2. So one virtual machine is here and two virtual machines are here. So you cannot connect in this way. Okay, you can't do this. This is not allowed. So in case of load balancer, we have this limitation that all of your target, all of your virtual machine should be part of the same availability set, also should be part of the same virtual network, because at a time with the load balancer, you can connect only one virtual network here. Okay, so let's do the same thing, remove all this thing. So this is my network and it is creating a network here. Okay, if you want you can create your VNet 1, specify the IP addresses and all. In that way also, if you want, you can do. But if you don't have any network, so here it is giving you the suggestion that these are the network information. If you want me to go ahead with this name, with this network IP and this subnet, so I can create a network for you. So I'm saying, okay, go ahead, create a network for me. And the name of this network is myrg-vnet. So same thing, you can mention the name here. Name is myrg-vnet. So this is the name of your virtual network. Fine. Also, I'm going forward for this public IP address. Okay. So I need a public IP address. Sorry, this is the public IP address. But one change I'm going to do, and whenever we create any public IP address, by default it is basic in the nature. When you click on create new, you can see VM1-IP and the SQ is basic here, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change it as a standard. Why I'm changing it to the standard, I will explain you later. So right now, this virtual machine VM1 has one public IP address, and that public IP address SQ is the standard SQ. And this is the name of your public IP address, VM1-IP. So go ahead and click on OK. Fine. And then review and create this. So meanwhile, let's create your second virtual machine, that is VM2. Okay. And this virtual machine also we will create in the same way. So come to virtual machine, click on add and then virtual machine. Resource group is MyRG. Virtual machine name is VM2, region Central US. Availability option, go to availability set and select your AS-1. Operating system, I have taken 2016. The configuration, I'm going to choose this one. This is my user ID. Correct. So port, I'm going to allow the port 80 also along with 3389. Then come back to networking and place this virtual machine inside the same network. So network was myrg-vnet. This is the range of subnet. So I'm going to place inside the same network here. And I'm also going to select one public IP address. And when you click on this create new, you can see this is set to basic, set it to the standard. So VM2 also has a public IP address and the SQ of that public IP address is standard. Okay. So that's all. Go ahead and create this one. So if you see this, as per my diagram, both my VM1 and VM2 has been created, and those are part of the availability set AS1 and the virtual network myrg-vnet. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to deploy the website also inside this VM1 and VM2. So how to do that? Let's see if my virtual machine is created. So one virtual machine is done, VM1. Click on connect. So if you remember my first session, I told you that when you want to deploy a virtual machine, sorry, a website inside a virtual machine, first of all, you should have to deploy a IIS, right? So same thing I am going to do here. So come to local server and switch it off. Now install the IIS. So for that, click on add roles and features. Go to next. Okay. So go back to the second virtual machine also. Disable it. Okay, so in second virtual machine also installation is going on. In first one it has completed. Fine. So we know that when we install IIS, one default website get created, and the same default website I'm going to use for this practical. Okay. So if you come here inside site, this is the default site. And if you want to see the content of this default site, right click and click on explore. You know that there is a web page where this internet explorer is written, internet information services. This is the page actually, okay, this which is going to open. So what I'm going to do, I want to modify this page little bit so that I will get to know that from which virtual machine my website is opening, because on both of the virtual machine there will be same website. So I just want to know when my load balancer work, from exactly the website is going to be fetched. So what I will do, if you see that there is one image file here, so open this image file. So actually the web page was picking up the image from this photograph. Okay, so I'm going to do modification here, and let's write VM1 on it and save this one. Minimize your virtual machine. And let's copy this public IP address and paste it here. So you can see that my this website is opening and it is written as VM1 here. So I will get to know from virtual machine 1 this website is opening, right? Similarly, let's go to your VM2 as well. So installation is done. Close, go to tool, go to IS manager. Okay, so this is my VM2. So I have done this configuration, Everything is set up here now. VM1, VM2, website is also deployed, network is deployed, availability set is also deployed. So all of the mandatory requirement has been done. Now focus on the load balancer, how to create a load balancer on it. So to create a load balancer, come back to your portal and type load balancer, create load balancer. Okay. So resource group, I have selected my RG. Name, let's say I'm calling it LHLB1. Okay, name of my load balancer. And the second thing is region. Region is Central US. Now you can see that there are two types of load balancer available. One is your internal and second is your public. So what is the meaning of it? When I'm creating a load balancer, let's say I'm selecting the public here. So what will happen in this case, on this load balancer, one public IP address is going to be assigned. Okay. So it means it is a public load balancer because it is facing to the internet. So whenever you want to create a load balancer and you want to face it toward the internet, okay, in that case, you just go and select on public here. When you click on internal, so what will happen in case of internal? One private IP address is going to assign it. So whenever you want to deploy a internal load balancer, let's say for your company, there is an intranet website which is only accessible by your employee, company employee. So in that case, you can go ahead and create a load balancer with the private IP address. Okay. So in that case, this is not means going on the internet. So that is the reason the internal load balancer will only have the private IP address, right? So for this practical, I'm going to select public IP address because I want to create a public load balancer so that we can do a real-time testing here. Now, there are two type of load balancer. Sorry, types are there, internal and public, but there are two SKUs of the load balancer. One is your basic and second is your standard. So what happen if I select basic here? So if I select basic, so what will happen? The public IP address which is assigned on this load balancer will be basic IP address, basic public IP address. There are two type of SKU of public IP address. One is standard and second is basic. So if you select a basic, so basic public IP address is going to assign on your load balancer. Okay. So whenever you are configuring this basic load balancer here, you have to keep few things in your mind. The first thing is that on the backend target, let's say you have the public IP address here. On VM1 also you have public IP address and VM2 also you have the public IP address. If you are creating a basic load balancers, in that case, the backend target should also have the basic IP address only. The public IP address should be basic only. Otherwise, what will happen? Suppose instead of basic, you take the standard IP address. In my case, I have taken the standard, right? So what will happen if I create my load balancer as a basic? So this load balancer is not going to detect these target. Right? So this thing you have to keep in your mind. If you are taking basic, everything should be basic. And if you are taking standard here, so even the public IP address assigned on it should also be basic, sorry, standard. And on this also, if you are taking a public IP address, that should also be the standard. So what is the main difference between basic and standard? Standard is always considered as a more secure. Why? We will see it. Okay. So right now, if you are selecting standard, one thing you have to keep in your mind, backend target should also have the standard public IP address. It is not mandatory that these backend virtual machines should have the public IP address. It is not mandatory at all. The condition is that either you don't choose any public IP address, but if you're choosing or aligning a public IP address with any virtual machine, that public IP address must match the SQ of the load balancer public IP address. I have taken public IP address on VM1 and VM2 because otherwise I'll not be able to connect to them because I haven't configured my point to site VPN or site to site VPN. So there is no connectivity at present between my laptop and the Azure infrastructure. Right now, the only option is that I am able to connect to these virtual machine only via the public IP address. So that is the reason I have selected the public IP address here. But if you want to skip it, okay, if you have this connectivity already set up, you can skip it. That is very much possible here. Fine. So what I'm going to do for this practical, I'll select standard, and also what you can see that when you select the basic here, so it will ask you to create a IP address, and you know that with basic it gives you the option to choose dynamic or the static IP address assignment, right? Both options are available. But when you select the standard, so what will happen? The public IP address SQ will set to static only. We do not have option to choose the dynamic one. And also you can see that when I selected the SQ of my load balancer as a standard, the IP address, the public IP address SQ also has set to standard here. So now it is asking me about the name of the public IP address. So I said, okay, this is my load balancer, paste it, hyphen IP. And availability zone, let's make it zone redundant. So that's all. So this load balancer has been created. Okay. So now load balancer is ready. Uh, but if you see that load balancer is a separate component as of now, and this backend target is a separate component. We haven't done any connection between both of them, right? So let's understand the configuration inside the load balancer, how we can proceed further now. When you come to the setting part inside your load balancer, the first setting is the front end IP configuration. So if you remember, we have selected the standard IP address for my load balancer, and this is the IP address which is assigned to my load balancer here. So do one thing, let's copy this one and paste it here. So this is the IP address actually. Okay, so this is the IP address of my load balancer. So this is already configured. Fine. Now you come to the backend pool. Click on backend pool. So what I have to do now, I have to create a pool here, and inside pool I have to put all of my targets. So let's say this is one pool I'm going to create, and inside this pool I'm going to put all of the targets, like VM1 and VM2 are my target in this case. So both of them will be part of this pool here. So the name of this pool I'm going to set as web pool. Okay, so same thing, let's see how to configure. So it is asking me about the web pools. So click on add. So now it is asking me the name. Name is web hyphen pool. And now it is asking me about the virtual network. So you can see my RG hyphen VNet, and I have an option to choose only one virtual network. So that is the reason I was telling you that all of your targets should be part of the same virtual network, because at a time you can select only one virtual network with your load balancer, right? So same thing is happening here. So I can choose only at a time, I can select only one network. So only one network has been created in my portal. So same thing is going to reflect here. Now it is asking me add the virtual machine inside this pool. So what I will do, click on add, and here you can see the detail of my VM1 and VM2. This is the resource group. This is the IP address assigned to VM1 and VM2, private IP address. Also, you can see the availability set, AS1 and AS2. Sorry, AS1 and AS1 only. So what I will do, one virtual machine I'm going to add directly from here, VM1. And the second virtual machine also I can add it from here, but I want to show you from a different way. Okay, VM2. So just click on add and then you click on add. So one VM I have added inside my pool. Now I'm going to add the second VM. So what is that second VM? That is VM2. So open this VM2, go to networking, and here you have option called load balancing. Inside networking, this is the option called load balancing here. Click on it. Now you will get an option to add load balancing. So click on it. So load balancing options. So there are two options here. One is my application gateway. Second is my Azure load balancer. What is application gateway? We will see later because this is also part of our syllabus. So now I'm going to attach VM2 with Azure load balancer, and this is the name of my load balancer. So only one load balancer is available as of now, that is LHLB1. Now it is asking me where you want to connect. So the option backend pool, you can choose use existing because already I have created a pool. The name of pool is web-pool. If you want to create a new pool, from here also you can create a new pool inside your load balancer. But right now I'm going to use the same web pool. Okay, and click on save now. So this is how also you can attach a virtual machine with the load balancer. So you can see that now VM2 is part of my load balancer. VM1 we had added in a different way. So let's verify. Even go to networking, then go to load balancing. You can see VM1 is also part of the load balancer here. Correct? If I go back to inside my load balancer, go back to your backend pool and refresh it, you can see web pool. Inside web pool, there are two virtual machine. Correct? So this is also done. Now the third setting is here is a health probe. So health probe is very important setting. So let's understand it with the help of different diagram. Suppose there is a load balancer here, and these are the two target. VM1, second target is VM2. And this is your load balancer. And let's say people are connecting from outside on this load balancer, and this load balancer is attached to your VM1 and VM2. And what is happening? So continuously sessions are hitting on the load balancer, and load balancer is going to redirect it onto the backend target VM1 or the VM2. Let's say there is some problem inside the VM1 and VM1 is not accessible. There is some issue that VM1 is not loading, and there might be issue that website is not working inside VM1. Rest of the things are fine. So what will happen finally? In this case, the session those are going to connect on VM2. In that case, your website will work perfectly fine. But the user session those are connecting on backend VM1, for them website will not open, right? Because this VM1 is down, or the website of on VM1 is down. So in that case, the user those are connecting on VM1, for them website will not open. So it's a problem. It's like a downtime. So what will happen? What is happening in this case? My load balancer is not aware at all what is happening on the target. Okay. So if anything goes wrong with VM1 or VM2, my load balancer is not at all aware that what is happening with them. So that is the reason this concept of health probe has been introduced. So what this health probe does, when you come here and click on health probe, there is a button here, click add. So click on add. So it is asking me about the name. Health probe 1 is the name I'm mentioning. You can see a lot of information has been given, like protocol is TCP port 80, interval is 5 seconds, and unhealthy threshold is 2. So what I have to do to avoid this situation, okay, I am going to configure a health probe. So in this health probe, what will happen now? This load balancer is going to send one message to my backend target. So it will send to VM1 also, VM2 also. Okay, but I'm just focusing here. Let's say load balancer sent a message, and this message is sent via the port 80. Port 80, through port 80, your load balancer is sending one message to VM1 like, how are you? So what VM1 supposed to do in response? VM1 also should tell, okay, I am fine. Then only load balancer will get to know that the VM1 is good, is healthy. Okay. So same thing happen here also. So load balancer will send one message here to VM1 via the port 80, and VM1 is also reply to the load balancer, and it will send a message or it will send a packet like, I am fine here. So if this happen, it means everything is working perfectly fine in the backend. VM1 is perfectly fine. But let's assume for a situation where load balancer sent one message to VM1 and there is no response at all. Okay. Now again after 5 second, load balancer is going to send a second message here. Again asking how are you? So if this time also there is no response, so what this load balancer is going to do, load balancer will understand, okay, something wrong with this VM1 here. That is the reason I am not getting any response. So it will isolate this VM. Okay. What is the meaning of isolation? It means going forward, load balancer will send all of the session to VM2. It will not forward those session to your VM1 because according to the load balancer, he is not getting any response. So it means there is some problem. So this VM1 is unhealthy according to load balancer. So to avoid any user impact, it is going to forward or redirect all of the user session to the VM2 here in this case. Now the question is that why it is only trying for two time. Okay, because you have mentioned two here, the unhealthy threshold you have mentioned two. Let's say you are mentioning 4 5, so 5 time it will try, 4 time it will try. It is up to you how many attempt you want to configure here. So this is the interval, 5 second. So as I told you that after the first message sent by load balancer, after 5 second again it is going to send one message. Why after 5 second? Because I have mentioned 5 here. This is the default setting. If you want to configure it to 10 second, 20 seconds, so after 20 second it will send the message to the virtual machine. So that is up to you how you want to configure. You can see this is the port number from where exactly these messages are actually flowing. So via the port 80, load balancer is going to send the message to VM1. Okay, and this is how it works. So this is the concept of your health probe, and this is a very, very critical concept here. Okay, so health probe is also configured. I have filled up all of the information, so I'm not going to change anything, just going with the default information. So click on OK. Great. So now all of these component has been created, but still there is no connection between your load balancer and your backend target here. The component has been created, but now what I have to do, I have to define a rule, and through that rule I'm going to explain that how this traffic should flow inside this whole setup. Okay, that's what we are going to understand. So come here and click on load balancing rule and then click on add, and let's say that rule name is rule 1. And first of all, you see all this information: IP version 4, front end IP address has been mentioned, that is the IP address of your load balancer. This is port, this is like front port, port 80. This is backend port, that is 80. Backend pool is mentioned here, web pool, and your health probe is also mentioned here, HP1. So what is the meaning of all this thing, how it is going to be understood by your load balancer? So in this case, I am going to create a rule. Basically this rule is going to define the direction of your traffic. How? So I have created a rule in that it says that if any user session come and hit on this public IP address on port 80, correct? If someone is typing, let's say this is your client laptop, And if they are typing HTTP here, if they come like this, HTTP colon double slash, what will happen in this case? Because HTTP is mentioned, so it will come and hit this public IP address on the port 80. Correct? So when it hit to on port 80 on this public IP address, what will happen next? So in this rule, I am saying redirect it to the backend pool, which is the backend pool, that is web pool here. And what is there inside the web pool? I have two target, VM1 and VM2. Okay. So next is redirect it to the web pool. And when it try to communicate with VM1 or the VM2 inside this web pool, the communication should go via the port 80. On the backend also use the port 80. Clear? So same thing is given here as well. This is your front end IP address of the load balancer. I'm saying that when any session come and hit on this front end IP address on port 80, redirect it to the backend pool. Pool is web pool. There you have two virtual machine, and all of the communication which is happening on the backend target should happen on the backend port, that is port 80 here. Also, I have configured a health probe, and the name of that health probe is HP1, where I have mentioned that how load balancer should check the health of the backend target. That also you integrate on it. The next option is the session persistence. So what is the meaning of session persistence? Let's say this is your setup. There are two target, VM1 and VM2. A user is trying to connect to your website. So first it will come to the load balancer. Okay. Then load balancer is going to redirect it to the backend target. Support it got connected to VM1 here. So the connection is happening, user is able to open the websites. Let's say there is some disconnection, there is some fluctuation. Again, user tried to connect on your website, so it came to your load balancer. Now, if this session persistence is enabled, so what will happen in this case, this session again going to connect on the same target where it was connected before, if session persistence is enabled. If session persistence is not enabled, in that case, this user session can connect anywhere. It can connect to VM2 or it can connect to VM1 also. So there is no guarantee that it will go and connect to your VM1 only. So if you want to check out the real-time example of this session persistence, you might have seen that in banking website, if session is idle for some time or if there is any fluctuation, session got disconnected, network got disconnected. So what happened, every time it asks you for the authentication to put your username and password. Why? Because on the backend target, as soon as your connection got dropped, again when it try to connect, so it may connect to anywhere. It may connect to VM1, VM2, VM3, VM4, whatever is your setup. So whenever this connection is happening with the backend target, it will ask you for the authentication just for the security purpose. But you might have seen in case of YouTube, once you logged in, you always remained logged in there. Okay. Unless or until it is a very long period of time. But mostly you might have seen that if you have logged in once, you are always logged in there. Okay, so this happened because of all these features of the feature of session persistence. When we understand about the application gateway, we have option of cookies based affinity. So there are multiple options which is around the same concept here. So right now, this is what I have created a rule to define the direction of my traffic. So just go ahead and click on OK. Okay, so this is done. And with this setting, the configuration of my load balancer is also completed. Now it is time to test whether my load balancer is working or not. One thing I want to highlight here. So if you come on your load balancer and go to overview, you can see that one IP address has been assigned, and the IP address last octet, if you remember, 141.227. Okay. Now go to your virtual machine, go to VM1 and see the IP address here. This is also 141.227, and even you go to the VM2 as well, this is again 141.227. So the load balancer IP has also mapped with your VM1 and the VM2 here, correct? But it doesn't mean that VM1 and VM2 has lost their original IP addresses. So if you go to VM1, then you go to networking. Inside that, if you see, this is the public IP address of your VM1. Okay. And when you go to the VM2, this is again the public IP address of your VM2. Now let's do the testing. So what I have to do in case of testing here, so we have to hit on the load balancer. So some of the sessions should get redirected to VM1, and from VM1 my website should open, and some of the sessions should redirect on the VM2, on from the VM2 my website should open. So load balancer, this is your IP address. Open a new tab and hit enter. So now you can see that I'm hitting the IP address of my load balancer, but website from VM1 is opening. Okay. So now you can see that it is loading from VM2 as well. Fine. So it means the session those are hitting on my load balancer is getting successfully redirected to VM1 as well as on VM2. So this is how we configure our load balancer. One last point, when you go and create this virtual machine and click on add and try to create a third virtual machine here. Let's say this is VM3 and directly come on the networking. And when you scroll down this networking console, you have option called load balancing here. By default, it is set to no. But if you set it as yes, it will ask you to provide the name of your load balancer. Okay. So I already have a load balancer that is LHLB1. Select then it will ask you about the backend pool name as well. So while creating your virtual machine also, you can attach your virtual machine with the load balancer as well as with the application gateway. So this we will discuss later. So this is how we can attach our VM directly while creating it. Okay. So that's all about the load balancer.